Both Robert De Niro and Bruce Springsteen have gone off the rails in recent days, and focusing on Bruce Springsteen here in isolation, we know that his Land of Hopes and Dreams tour recently backfired, not just on himself as a performer, as a musician, but also on how a lot of people now view his music and his songs in its entirety. And one thing is for certain is that once he made things political, once he went on a long-winded rant about President Donald Trump just a couple of days ago, it truly did backfire on his image, and already a lot of Hollywood actors out there, including Tom Cruise, in a very unexpected way and in a very professional, indirect way, called him out and really humiliated him in the best way that you could even imagine. Well, this is where things begin to really reach a new level that nobody would have ever seen coming. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So the great thing about Tom Cruise is that as of late he has been calling out, the whole, aspect of the woke media and how Hollywood has really crumbled over the years and how he wants to stick to filmmaking, he wants to stick to the movies, and now he's actually calling out the music industry and even Bruce Springsteen in a very indirect way. We talked about how he did this also with Robert De Niro just a short couple of days ago, and this is where it gets very interesting because we know that Tom Cruise, let's just say this, he is a class act, he's a professional, and look, I know that a lot of people are very much question his religion a lot of times out there, but I just like to focus on his work. I like to just focus on his movie making skills, everything to do with his overall role in filmmaking, and as an actor, he does a great job on that front. However, with Tom Cruise, already one major Hollywood actor that called out the woke media and actors getting way too political, one significant development going on now involves more to do with Bruce Springsteen and how he was recently called out by Tom Cruise in the most unexpected way yet. Now, Tom Cruise recently delivered the following again in the midst of promoting his Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning film. I think as filmmakers and actors, it's important that we focus strictly on the movies. It's not our place to get into politics or anything that would alienate an audience. And this is something I am calling for all forms of show business and other forms as well, especially musicians who create more trouble for themselves when they decide to turn their performance into a political lecture. And I have been aware of certain stars doing this recently, and it's not my place to name names, but whether you are a musician on stage or a filmmaker on the set, or an actor promoting your film, it is not our place to lecture our audience about politics, period, because that's not what it's all about. Even with music, and look, I value both film and music. I value both the film industry and the music industry equally, and to see performers turning their performance into something political is very unprofessional coming from the artist. I think many performers and actors get too wrapped up in the middle of politics where they divide their audience, and it's a damn shame that it happens. Whether you're in music or film, it's not your place to do that. In my case, I would like to stick to the movies, please. I'm an actor, I'm a producer, and a filmmaker. Those are my values in life. It's what I live for, and to entertain the great people who support our films and talk about them for the ages. Because the minute you turn something into a political lecture, that's when you lose that momentum. Christopher, and well, even I think the same way, that when we like to make movies and associate our films, nobody wants to be lectured at a concert or an award show or anything like that. And it's our job to remain connected to the audience, to let them know that we see them as people, not just numbers. So guys, let me just stop here about what Tom Cruise is doing. He's obviously calling out Bruce Springsteen. We already talked about how he did this in a very similar way to Robert De Niro when he actually called him out based on what he did at the film festival. And again, we know that Tom Cruise is very professional. I like how he actually says, I'm not here to name names, I'm not here to actually put anybody directly per se on the spot, but he is calling them out. He is calling out Bruce Springsteen, he's calling out Robert De Niro, he's calling out the entirety of woke Hollywood and what they've been up to with the media as well. And this is just all working. It's all coming full circle. We know that Tom Cruise, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the last few Hollywood stars, one of the last few action stars out there that really just dedicates his life fully to the whole process of filmmaking. This man does stunts on a whole new level that we've never seen before, and I think that's exactly why a lot of people like to see, Tom Cruise in these movies. Now look, some of you may not like his films, some of you may not like his views on things, and that's fine. That's fine. But when you look at him, in isolation from a lot of these other Hollywood quote-unquote stars, celebrities if you will, he really does actually detach himself from the majority of the Hollywood bubble, right? That's exactly why he earned a lot of respect over the years. Now, filmmaking, he says, and music is an art, and it should never be taken for granted, especially by the artists. Once they decide to make things political, everything just goes away. The illusion is gone from the artist. So I am more than proud to say that I will continue to just create pure entertainment for the fans and for potential new fans that want to give the Mission Impossible franchise a shot. And I will say this, that I am pushing these artists in both film and music to not get involved in lecturing those with different views. It just doesn't work for the audience. It doesn't. What I like to always do is I like to become a part of the audience. I always like to grab a seat in the movie theaters and sit and take a seat in the back and witness the reactions, so I will be running to many theaters and doing that again with Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and to see how everyone reacts to The Final Reckoning, because it's the chance of a lifetime to see on the big screen. Again, we know that Tom Cruise really just calls it out and says it like it is in a very professional way here. And I like how he does it like that. You know, he doesn't really get too angry or wrapped up in the whole calling out process. But one thing I will say about Cruise is that he is doing project after project, one after the other, and I gotta give him credit for being 60 plus years old doing this, doing all these different stunts and accomplishing them. So we've got this movie, we've got Top Gun 3 coming out, most likely around 2027 or 28 at the latest. That's another major project that he's working on right now as we speak. And so look, I think that Bruce Springsteen was absolutely out of line. Bruce Springsteen at his Land of Hopes and Dreams tour was abysmal. It truly was something that backfired on him, and he's just got to stop it already. Look, I'm not a huge fan of his music. I know he's got some hits out there. There are some songs that I know very, very well and I grew up with, but he really is way out of line making things political, and he's getting to the near stage of Robert De Niro's status of being very much insufferable. Especially when you actually go on your concert tour, when you get on, you know, in front of the actual audience and you're actually going on a long-winded Trump rant, that's when you know he actually is truly at Robert De Niro's status at this point. He's almost there. He's just about there, and people just do not respect him at all anymore. And look, the fact that Tom Cruise is not only calling out the film industry, but also the music industry and even musicians. Look, there's no, coincidence there. We all know what Tom Cruise, or who Tom Cruise is calling out. And again, it's another process, right? We know that there's a slow turn of the tide happening right now in both the film industry and the music industry, where people are just not accepting people getting way too political anymore. People aren't falling for this nonsense anymore, and it's exactly why Bruce Springsteen is losing a lot of fans. They're leaving in droves. In fact, I know a lot of Bruce Springsteen hardcore fans out there that lost all respect for him just based on that one little rant that was long-winded. But overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.